Afghanistan's monthly bulletins on Friday, July 25th. Welcome. Pakistan has rejected media reports suggesting it might recognize the Taliban government, calling them speculation. Shafkat Ali Khan, spokesperson for Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, emphasized that no decision has been made on this matter yet. Pay attention to this exclusive report on the subject.
The government of Pakistan has dismissed reports about officially recognizing the Taliban government as baseless. Shafkat Ali Khan, spokesperson for Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in a press conference on Thursday, July 24th, rejected reports by some media outlets in the country claiming that Pakistan is on the verge of officially recognizing the Taliban government, calling them speculation. He emphasized that no decision has yet been made regarding the official recognition of the Taliban regime. According to Pakistan's Daily Times, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also spoke about Pakistan's ongoing security concerns regarding the presence of terrorist groups and their safe havens on Afghan soil, describing them as a persistent source of threat to the country's national security. However, he expressed satisfaction with the Taliban officials' positive attitude toward Islamabad's concerns, saying that bilateral relations are improving. Shafkat Ali Khan also referred to the recent visit of Mohsin Naqvi, Pakistan's interior minister, to Kabul, which took place on the 29th of the month. He said that the focus was on strengthening security cooperation, managing the borders, and pursuing the extradition of members of Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan, TTP. During this trip, Mohsin Naqvi met with some Taliban officials, including Sirjat Haqqani, the acting interior minister of the Taliban, and according to the Taliban's interior ministry, both sides emphasized the creation of an environment of communication, trust, and confidence. Previously, several Pakistani media outlets have published reports speculating about the possibility of Pakistan officially recognizing the Taliban. Among them, Pakistan's Express Tribune reported on July 6 that some observers believe Moscow's decision could pave the way for other countries, including Pakistan, to officially recognize the Taliban. It is worth mentioning that the Pakistani government, regarding Russia's recognition of the Taliban government, stated that this is a matter between two independent countries. On July 3rd, Russia officially recognized the Taliban government, becoming the first country to take such a step since the Taliban returned to power in August 2021. It should be recalled that about 5 weeks ago, Mohammad Ishaqdar, Pakistan's foreign minister, said that relations between Pakistan and the Taliban have taken a positive turn since his April 19th visit to Kabul. He added on his social media page that Islamabad is determined to upgrade its diplomatic relations with the Taliban government from the level of chargé d'affaires to ambassador. On May 30th, the Taliban government's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in a statement welcoming this decision by Pakistan, said that they would also, in return, upgrade the chargé d'affaires of the Afghan embassy under their control in Islamabad to ambassador. This comes as, over the past 3 years, relations between the Taliban government and Pakistan have been marked by tensions. Pakistani officials have attributed the increase in attacks by the Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan, TTP, group to the presence and activities of this group on Afghan soil. In response, the Taliban government has consistently rejected these accusations, stating that it will not allow Afghan soil to be used against any country.
Devastating floods in various provinces of Afghanistan have caused extensive loss of life and property. Those affected had expressed concern over not receiving the necessary aid, and one resident of Paktika said he has suffered about 500,000 Afghanis in damages. More details in this report.
Aruna Balak Razaki Sar Agli.
He is one of the residents of Sawali district in Jailan, Paktika province, who says that the floods on Wednesday, the 1st of Assad, caused him significant damage. He did not want his name to be mentioned in the report. On Thursday, the 2nd of Assad, he said that so far, they have not received any assistance.
Aruna, the head, said that there had also been floods in recent days. There wasn't much damage before, but since yesterday, it has caused a lot of losses to the people. I alone have suffered about 500,000 Afghanis in damages, as my lands have been destroyed. We have not received any help at all.
Reports indicate that the recent floods have also caused casualties and financial losses to residents of the provinces of Paktia, Badakhshan, and Khuzestan. Mustakfar Garbas, the spokesperson for the Taliban governor in Khuzestan province, spoke about the casualties caused by the floods.
A flood hit the village of Raktun, and due to the heavy rainfall and the recent floods, 2 incidents have occurred. First, in the Swali district of the province, the roof of a house collapsed, resulting in 1 person losing their life and 2 children being injured. The other 2 incidents are related to Paktia province. 3 people were swept by the flood into the Swali district of Nader Shakot, but they were found by local residents. 1 of them was injured, and the other 2 had lost their lives.
Meanwhile, local officials in Badakhshan province have also confirmed the damages caused by the floods in this province. Zabihallah Amiri, the spokesperson for the Taliban governor in Badakhshan province, said that efforts to assist the affected people have been carried out by the Provincial Disaster Management Department in coordination with international aid organizations.
Yesterday's devastating floods in the Kufab district flowed down to Darwas. Thankfully, there were no casualties, but they caused significant financial losses to the people. These include orchards, farmlands, and small hydroelectric dams that had been built in the villages, all of which have been destroyed.
Meanwhile, the World Food Programme and the United Nations have recently stated that the recent floods have severely affected several provinces in Afghanistan, and in Maidan Wardak alone, more than 14,200 people have been impacted. 3 days ago, this organization also wrote on its page that more than 50 canals and 85 hectares of farmland in this province have been damaged. Previously, a number of flood victims from Maidan Wardak and Logar provinces had called for help from Taliban government officials and aid organizations. In the past, flood victims have complained that despite promises made by Taliban government officials and aid organizations, they have not received the necessary assistance. Meanwhile, the Taliban government's meteorological and transport and aviation departments have recently warned of heavy rains and severe flooding in 9 provinces of Afghanistan. This department has forecasted on its page that on the 2nd of Asad, the provinces of Nuristan, Kunar, Nangarhar, Lagman, Logar, Kapiza, Khuzestan, Paktia, and Paktika will experience these floods.
The United Nations has warned in a new report that Afghan refugees who have returned are facing reprisals and human rights violations. This report is based on interviews with several people who have been forcibly returned.
The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, or UNAMA, has expressed concern, saying that some Afghan refugees who have been forcibly returned to the country have faced acts of retaliation, something the Taliban government denies. In a report published on its website on Thursday, July 24th, UNAMA stated that it has documented cases of individuals who were forcibly returned to Afghanistan and, due to certain characteristics, have experienced serious human rights violations. The Human Rights section of the UNAMA report states that Afghan asylum seekers who return to Afghanistan are particularly at risk of retaliation and other human rights violations by the Taliban government. The report adds that these violations include torture, arbitrary detention, and verbal threats to personal security by the ruling authorities, that is, the Taliban, against those who fled the country in 2021 out of fear and have now returned. UNAMA added that women and girls, former government employees, security forces, media workers, and civil activists are facing acts of revenge and human rights violations. According to UNAMA, this information is based on interviews with 49 people who were forcibly returned to their country between May and December 2024. The 18-page report states that a former female television journalist who had fled Taliban threats in 2021 now describes herself as a prisoner in her own home after returning, telling UN investigators that there are no job opportunities here, no freedom of movement, and no access to education beyond a bleak future. The report quotes Volker Turk, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, as saying, "The situation in Afghanistan is especially dire for women and girls, who face widespread surveillance and harassment solely because of their gender." The report states that these findings are a clear violation of the international principle that no one should be returned to a country where they would face the risk of torture, persecution, or other serious harm. These are issues that some former Afghan military personnel have also claimed. One of the former soldiers, who did not want his location and identity to be mentioned in this report due to the sensitivity of the matter, said that he and another soldier fled from Afghanistan to Iran after the Taliban took over in 2021. However, in 2023, they were deported from Iran again and, out of fear of the Taliban in Afghanistan, have been living under house arrest. He claims that one of his friends was severely tortured.
I was working with a contractor in Herat. When I was deported, I stayed at home for a long time and didn't go outside. You know, those who used to work before, now that they, that is, the Taliban, are in power, are afraid of them. Because they can cause harm. One of my friends, who was working as a driver for a company, was arrested. They asked him why he had such a job and tortured him a lot. They demanded a weapon from him and beat him up. Now he can't sit properly.
The Human Rights section of ANAMA also mentioned in this report that former soldiers and officials, according to this organization, have been arbitrarily arrested and imprisoned by the Taliban. But the Taliban government rejects these reports and claims. Abdul Matin Khan, the spokesperson for the Taliban government's Ministry of Interior, rejected the United Nations claim.
But we completely reject this ANAMA report. It is far from the truth because we are working to implement the Amir al-Mu'minin's decree on general amnesty. The Ministry of Interior, as the implementing body, does not allow anyone to violate it. ANAMA had previously issued such a report, but the Minister of Interior assigned a delegation to the province, claiming that former officials were facing problems. However, this delegation found that this was far from the truth.
He claims that if people have been killed in Afghanistan, it has been due to personal enmities. According to the ANAMA report, since 2023, a large number of Afghans have been forcibly returned to their country by Pakistan and Iran. It is worth noting that among them are former military personnel, civil and human rights activists, protesting women, journalists, and others. They had repeatedly expressed concern before that if they returned to their country, they would face various threats and dangers.
The Political Solidarity Council of Tajikistan has condemned the Islamic Republic of Iran's forced expulsion of Afghan refugees, calling it a widespread and blatant violation of human rights. The council has called on the international community to pay special attention to the dire situation of Afghan migrants.
The Political Cohesion Council of Tajikistan has condemned the inhumane action of the Islamic Republic of Iran in forcibly deporting Afghan refugees. In a statement, the Council described the Iranian government's treatment, arrest, harassment, confiscation of property, and mass expulsion of Afghan migrants as a blatant violation of human rights and international obligations. The statement notes that after the Taliban took control of Afghanistan, hundreds of thousands of Afghan citizens sought refuge in neighboring countries due to political persecution, severe restrictions on women and girls, poverty, and insecurity. The Political Cohesion Council of Tajikistan has called on international organizations and human rights bodies to pay special attention to the dire situation of Afghan migrants. The Council has also emphasized the need for the international community to put pressure on the Taliban to restore the fundamental rights of all Afghan people, especially women and girls. The final part of the statement says that at a time when cats in Afghanistan are freer than Afghan girls, the international community has a responsibility not to remain indifferent in defending the freedom and equality of all human beings.
End of the news.